I want you to take a deep breath and just listen for a moment, because what I am about to say is going to shake something inside of you. Maybe you've been feeling defeated. Maybe life has knocked you down so many times that you wonder if you'll ever rise again. Maybe people have betrayed you. Opportunities have slipped through your fingers, or pain has been following you so long that you feel trapped, hopeless, and alone. But I need you to hear this truth. With every fiber of your being, your pain is not punishment, it's preparation, and God is about to upgrade your life. Yes, I said it. God Himself is positioning, preparing, and orchestrating your breakthrough. Every tear you've cried, every heartbreak you've endured, every failure you thought would define you, it is all part of His divine plan. 2 Corinthians 12:9 tells us that His grace is sufficient and His power is perfected in our weakness. That means the very things you think are holding you back, the disappointments, the betrayals, the mistakes, you are going to see transformed into the platform for your promotion. And I know that feels hard to believe. I know your mind is screaming, it's too late, I've tried too much, God must have forgotten me. But the truth is, God has never forgotten you. He sees every struggle, He knows every tear, He feels every heart touch. And right now, even while you're sitting there feeling invisible, overlooked, or defeated, He is preparing something so extraordinary that it will surpass your imagination. Some of you are waiting for doors to open, for blessings to arrive, for relationships to be restored, for finances to turn around. And I want you to understand this. Your waiting is not wasted. Every setback, every delay, every moment of despair carries a seed for your upgrade. This moment right now is the turning point. This moment is the pivot. This moment is when God begins to shift your life in ways you cannot yet see, but you will feel. And by the end of this message, you will understand why your pain was never permanent, why your setbacks were never final, and why your breakthrough is not just coming. It is inevitable. Your pain is not punishment, it's preparation. Some of you listening today have carried wounds for years. Maybe it started with the first time someone said you weren't good enough. Maybe it was betrayal by someone you trusted. Maybe it was a job you lost, a dream that slipped through your fingers, or a relationship that ended in heartbreak. You've cried tears that no one saw, prayed prayers that seemed to go unanswered, and yet here you are wondering if God has forgotten you. I want to tell you right now, with every fiber of my being, your pain is not punishment, it is preparation. There is a truth in God's word that most people overlook because it doesn't feel immediate. It doesn't feel comforting, and it certainly doesn't feel fair. In James 1:2-4, the Bible tells us, "Count it all joy, my brethren, when ye fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing." Every trial you have faced, every tear you've cried, every sleepless night has been a crucible, a fire designed to refine you, to strengthen you, to position you for something far greater than you can imagine. God is not punishing you. He is preparing you. Think about David. David was a shepherd boy overlooked by his own family, underestimated by his community, hunted by a king who wanted him dead, and betrayed by those he loved. Yet God said to Samuel, "Do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him." The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. David's pain, the loneliness in the fields, the danger in the wilderness, the mockery of those who doubted him was not punishment. It was preparing a king. It was shaping a man after God's own heart, teaching him patience, humility, courage, and faith. Your pain is shaping you in the same way. The struggles you are facing are not to break you. They are to build you. Every betrayal, every failure, every setback, every moment when you felt abandoned by people is being used by God to refine your character, to test your faith, and to cultivate endurance. The Bible says in Romans 5:35, "We rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope, and hope does not put us to shame." Look closely. Your pain is not random, it is intentional. It is the preparation for a life of victory, influence, and impact. I know it is hard to see it this way when you are in the middle of it. I know it feels cruel when people betray you, when doors slam in your face, when your dreams seem to die before they even live. You might be asking, "God, why me? Why did this happen to me?" The answer is this: because He is preparing you, because He sees the destiny that you cannot see. because he knows that if he delivered the blessing to you too soon, you would not be ready for it. Joseph understood this better than anyone. Sold into slavery by his own brothers, falsely accused, thrown into prison. Joseph could have asked, "Why me?" But he didn't. He knew even in the darkest moments that God was with him, and God was working through every hardship to prepare him for the day he would stand before Pharaoh and be elevated to a position of unimaginable influence and responsibility. Genesis 50:20 says, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Your pain is like that. It is the soil for your harvest, the crucible for your promotion, the furnace for your favor. And I know some of you feel like your pain is too much. I know you feel like it is unending, like the sorrow will never lift. You wake up every morning hoping something will change, and yet everything looks the same. You have tried to hide your pain behind smiles, behind excuses, behind "I'm fine," but inside you feel broken, alone, abandoned. I see you, I feel your heart. And I tell you this with certainty, God sees you too. He has not forgotten a single tear. He has not ignored a single cry. He is using this pain, this trial, this loneliness to prepare you for your upgrade. Your pain is not to shame you. Your pain is not to humiliate you. Your pain is not to define you. Your pain is a divine appointment for transformation. Every scar, every wound, every disappointment is part of God's blueprint for your life. And the beautiful truth is that preparation always precedes promotion. You cannot receive the mantle of influence, favor, or blessing without the preparation that God requires. You cannot sit on the throne without the trial that trains you for wisdom. You cannot operate in abundance without the trial that teaches patience, faith, and stewardship. So do not despise your suffering. Do not resent the struggle. Do not abandon hope because of delay. Your pain is not punishment, it is preparation. And the God who has carried you through every betrayal, every failure, every heart touch is about to unveil a life that is not just good, not just comfortable, but extraordinary. He is about to take the ashes of your trials and turn them into beauty, the sorrow of your nights into the joy of your mornings, the weakness of your spirit into unstoppable strength. Delays are divine positioning. Some of you are tired of waiting. You've been waiting for the promotion that never came. You've been waiting for the relationship that never materialized. You've been waiting for the financial breakthrough that always seems just out of reach. And the longer you wait, the heavier your heart becomes. You look around and see others moving ahead while you feel stuck. You ask God, "Why not me? Why now?" And the truth is this, delays are not denials. They are divine positioning. Let me tell you something. God's timing is not like the world's timing. The world measures time in days, months, and years. God measures time in perfection. In Ecclesiastes 3:1, it says, "To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven." That season you are in, the waiting, the struggle, the loneliness, is not a mistake. It is the exact season God has designed to prepare you for what's next. Think about Abraham. God promised him a son, but he had to wait until he was 99 years old. Can you imagine the ridicule, the doubt, the disbelief he must have faced? Yet every year of waiting, every disappointment, every season of longing was positioning Abraham for the fulfillment of God's promise. And the fulfillment wasn't just about having a child. It was about shaping the lineage of nations, about positioning Abraham for a purpose far greater than he could imagine. Your delay is doing the same thing for you. The pain of waiting, the frustration of being overlooked, the anxiety of not knowing when. It is shaping your faith. It is stretching your character. It is refining your endurance. Psalm 27:14 says, "Wait on the Lord of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart." Wait, I say, on the Lord. Waiting is not wasted time. It is divine positioning. God is aligning every piece of your life, the people, the resources, the opportunities, so that when he moves, it is perfect, unstoppable, unmistakably his. I know waiting is painful. I know it feels like the world is passing you by while others succeed. I know it feels like everyone else is getting their blessing while you are left behind. But consider Joseph. He waited years in slavery. He waited years in prison. And only when God's timing was perfect did he rise to a position where he could save nations. Delays are divine positioning. They are the quiet work behind the scenes, unseen, preparing you for the promotion you could never achieve on your own. Some of you have been impatient. Some of you have tried to force doors open. Some of you have taken shortcuts only to be disappointed or hurt. That's because God is not just concerned with your blessing. He is concerned with your readiness. The delay is not punishment, it is refinement. God will not elevate you to a position of influence until your heart, your mind, and your spirit are fully prepared to steward it wisely. Think about David before he became king. He spent years running from Saul. He was hunted, mocked, and abandoned, yet God was positioning him. Every moment of waiting was a lesson in patience, humility, courage, and trust. Every season of hiding, of running, of rejection was a divine preparation for leadership. And when David finally became king, he was not only ready, he was unstoppable. Your delay is working the same way for you. It may not feel good. It may not feel fair. You may have been waiting for years, questioning God, wondering if he has forgotten. But the truth is, he has never forgotten. He has never abandoned you. He is moving pieces behind the scenes, orchestrating situations, opening doors, and closing others, all to position you exactly where you are meant to be. I need you to understand something today. Impatience will only delay your blessing further. Fear will only make the weight heavier, but faith, trust, and obedience during the delay will prepare you for the fullness of what God has in store. When the right moment comes, you will not stumble. You will not fail. You will step into your purpose with power, clarity, and authority, because God has positioned you perfectly. Your waiting is not wasted. Your delay is not denial. Every closed door, every postponed opportunity, every not yet, you have faced his divine positioning. God is not just moving you forward, he is moving you upward. He is aligning your life so that when the breakthrough comes, it is unmistakable, undeniable, and unstoppable. God specializes in broken things. Some of you sitting here feel like you are too damaged, too broken, too far gone to ever be used by God. You've made mistakes you can't take back. You've been rejected, humiliated, betrayed, and abandoned. You carry scars that feel permanent, shame that feels unbearable, and wounds that feel too deep to ever heal. And maybe, just maybe, the voice in your head keeps telling you that God wouldn't want you, that you're unqualified, that your life is over. But I'm here to tell you the most liberating, soul-shaking truth. God specializes in broken things. Yes, broken things. The Bible is filled with examples of God taking what is shattered and turning it into a miracle. Moses was a murderer, hiding in the desert, running from justice. Rahab was a woman whose past should have disqualified her, living in a city full of sin. David committed adultery and murder. Paul persecuted the very people of God, and yet God took their brokenness, their mistakes, their failures, and he created vessels of greatness, instruments of his glory, and testimonies that still impact the world today. I know the pain you feel. I know the shame you carried. I know the nights you've cried, asking God if there is any hope left for you. You've tried to hide your failures from the world and sometimes even from yourself. But God sees it all. And here's the thing, he doesn't despise it. He doesn't reject it. He doesn't waste it. He uses it. 2 Corinthians 12:9 says, "My grace is sufficient for thee. For my strength is made perfect in weakness." Your weakness, your brokenness, your failures. These are the instruments that God will use to display his power, to teach you humility, to cultivate your dependence on him, and to create a story that will inspire countless lives. Think about Peter. He denied Jesus 3 times when he needed courage the most. He failed. He let fear control him. And yet Jesus looked at Peter after his resurrection and said, "Feed my sheep." God specializes in broken things. He took a man who had failed, who had faltered, and he gave him one of the greatest purposes in history. That same God can take your life, no matter how messy, no matter how full of mistakes, and turn it into a living testimony. And I know the enemy whispers lies to you. He tells you that your past is permanent, that your mistakes define you, that your failures are irreversible. But that is the furthest thing from the truth. God is not limited by your history. He is limited only by your unbelief. He wants to take the broken pieces of your life, the relationships you've ruined, the opportunities you've squandered, the pain you've caused, and he wants to create beauty from ashes. Isaiah 60:103 promises to appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. Your brokenness is not a barrier. It is the material God uses to build his masterpiece. The trials, the betrayals, the sins, the disappointments, they are raw materials. The more broken you feel, the more space God has to work his glory into your life. The more shattered you feel, the more he can display his strength. The more you feel unworthy, the more he can demonstrate his mercy. Some of you are terrified of being seen because of your past. You hide, you cover up, you pretend. But God does not ask for perfection. He asks for surrender. He asks for honesty. He asks for a heart willing to be molded. And when you surrender, he transforms. He elevates, he heals, he restores, he multiplies. What the enemy meant for harm, God will use for your highest good. Genesis 50-20 reminds us that even betrayal, even evil, can be turned into a divine plan for your life. Look at your life through the lens of God's grace. Every wound you carry, every mistake you regret, every failure that haunts you, it is not a sentence, it is preparation. It is training, it is positioning. God specializes in broken things, because in brokenness, humility grows. Faith is strengthened, resilience is built, and testimony is formed. Your past does not disqualify you. Your failures do not disqualify you. Your pain does not disqualify you. God's power shines brightest through what is shattered. And he is about to take your broken pieces and create something extraordinary. Do not despise your past. Do not curse your mistakes. Do not allow shame to define your identity. God sees your brokenness and says, "This is exactly what I need to create something remarkable. I am about to upgrade your life in ways you never thought possible, and your past will become your platform for purpose, for influence, for testimony." Broken things become vessels of glory. The deeper the wound, the greater the miracle. The darker the night, the brighter the dawn. And the God who has been with you in the shadows, who has carried you through the pain, who has never abandoned you, is about to show you the power of his restoration. Faith outweighs fear. Some of you are paralyzed by fear. Fear has wrapped its icy fingers around your heart. Fear keeps you awake at night. Fear whispers lies in your ear. You are too late. You are not enough. You will fail. It's impossible. Fear tells you to quit, to settle, to compromise, to give up. And every time you listen, every time you let it control your decisions, it steals a piece of your destiny. But faith outweighs fear. Faith does not deny the presence of fear. It rises above it. Faith says, God is bigger than this challenge, stronger than this problem, wiser than this situation, and he is on my side. Consider Peter walking on water. The storm raged, the wind howled, the waves threatened to swallow him whole. Yet he took the first step because he trusted Jesus. The moment he doubted, the moment he focused on the fear instead of the faith, he began to sink. Fear will always threaten to sink you, to paralyze you, to rob you of your destiny. But faith keeps you moving, keeps you stepping, keeps you reaching, keeps you believing. 2 Timothy 1:7 reminds us, "For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." Your spirit is designed to overcome fear. Your heart is meant to trust. Your mind is meant to focus on God, not the storm. I know the fear you feel is real. I know the anxiety in your chest is heavy. I know the doubts that fill your mind are relentless. Life has knocked you down. Circumstances have tried to defeat you. People have betrayed you, and the enemy has whispered lies for years. Fear can feel convincing. It can feel rational, but faith outweighs fear because faith is anchored in God's word, in his promises, in his presence. Fear is anchored in circumstances, in what you see, in what you feel, in the lies of the enemy. Faith is anchored in reality, God's reality, his truth, his eternal power. Abraham faced fear. God promised him a son, but his body was old and his wife was barren. Every voice around him screamed impossibility. Every human logic told him to give up. But Abraham chose faith over fear. He believed God, and God credited it to him as righteousness. Your situation may seem impossible. Your challenges may seem insurmountable. Your past may seem too heavy. But your faith, when applied, outweighs every fear, every doubt, every lie. Think about Daniel thrown into the lion's den, facing death with every possible reason to be afraid. Daniel's faith remained unshaken. The lions could roar. The night could be long. The darkness could be terrifying. But faith outweighs fear. God shut the mouths of the lions, and Daniel walked out unharmed. Your faith can do the same thing in your life. Your faith can silence the threats, neutralize the attacks, and position you for the victory God has promised. Fear wants you to focus on scarcity. Fear wants you to focus on loss. Fear wants you to focus on impossibility. Faith focuses on possibility. Faith focuses on God's promises. Faith focuses on his power. Faith focuses on the reality that he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. 1 John 4:44 says, "Greater is that is in you than he that is in the world." Your faith outweighs fear because God's power exceeds every circumstance, Every enemy, every setback, every storm, every pain. Some of you are stuck because fear has told you to wait too long, to hesitate too often, to second guess every step. But God is calling you to move now, to step out, to trust Him fully, to believe in His timing, to act on His word, to take steps that fear tells you are impossible. Every time you act in faith, every time you trust despite the fear, every time you move when the enemy tells you to stay, you position yourself for the upgrade God has promised. Faith outweighs fear because faith sees the invisible, believes the impossible, and receives the blessing before it appears. Fear focuses on the problem. Faith focuses on the solution. Fear magnifies the obstacle. Faith magnifies God. Fear paralyzes. Faith propels. You cannot let fear control your life. You cannot let fear determine your future. You must decide today that no matter how impossible it feels, no matter how dark it seems, no matter how heavy the struggle, your faith will outweigh your fear. And here is the truth. The upgrade you are waiting for, the breakthrough you are longing for, the miracle you are desperate for, it requires faith. It requires believing when you cannot see. It requires trusting when everything says no. It requires stepping forward when fear says stop. Faith outweighs fear, and God is ready to honor that faith in ways that will leave your life transformed, your enemies silenced, and your testimony undeniable. Every setback carries a seed for your upgrade. Some of you have been knocked down so many times that you feel like standing up is impossible. You faced financial ruin, lost relationships, betrayal from friends or family, health challenges, dreams that crumbled before your eyes. Every time you thought you were rising, life pushed you back down. And now you wonder if there is any purpose in the pain. You wonder if it's worth it to hope, to try again, to believe. I need you to hear this truth with the depth of your soul. Every setback carries a seed for your upgrade. Yes, a seed. God has a way of taking what the enemy meant for harm and planting it in the soil of your life so that it produces fruit you could never have imagined. Genesis 50:20 tells us, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Your setbacks, your failures, your losses, they are not the end. They are the fertilizer for your breakthrough. They are the soil for your promotion. They are the setup for your testimony. Think about Job. He lost everything. His children, his wealth, his health. He sat in ashes, covered in sores, isolated from the world, abandoned by friends who could not understand his pain. And yet Job's story did not end in despair. Job's setbacks carried seeds for restoration, seeds for divine promotion, seeds for a life so blessed that the Bible says he received twice as much as he had before. Every loss, every blow, every heartbreak was preparing him for a life of unparalleled blessing. Your setbacks work the same way. When doors close, God is planting seeds for doors you cannot see yet. When opportunities fall through, God is planting seeds for opportunities beyond your imagination. When relationships fail, God is planting seeds for connections that will elevate your life, position you for destiny, and open paths that were previously invisible. Every setback has purpose, even if you cannot see it now. I know it is painful. I know the disappointment weighs heavy. I know you feel like giving up. But setbacks are not punishment. They are preparation. They are not dead ends. They are starting points. They are not failures. They are the blueprint for your next level. Romans 8:28 reminds us, "And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to His purpose." Even the moments that crush you, that humiliate you, that make you question life, God is weaving them into your favor. Think about Joseph again. Sold into slavery, falsely accused, thrown into prison. Each setback seemed catastrophic, yet every setback contained a seed for the life God was positioning him to live. Each trial, each false accusation, each lonely night was a stepping stone to a throne. You are standing in the midst of your trials, and you cannot see the throne, but God can. Every setback you face is like Joseph's pit. It looks like despair, but it carries the seed of your destiny. And when the timing is right, it will bloom in ways you never imagined. Some of you feel broken because of what you've lost. You feel defeated because of what you've been denied. You feel worthless because the world has rejected you. But here is the truth. God can turn every setback into a setup. He can turn every loss into leverage. He can turn every disappointment into a launching pad. What the enemy intended for harm, God will use for your highest good. Your setbacks are not accidents. They are assignments. They are the foundation for your upgrade, the training ground for your promotion, and the soil from which your miracle will grow. The question is, will you see the seed in the setback? Will you believe that your current struggle is a divine setup? Will you refuse to let despair define your future? Faith sees the seed in every setback. Faith trusts that God is working even when it feels impossible. Faith holds on when everything else tells you to let go. And the God who created the universe, who orchestrates the heavens, who controls every circumstance, is planting seeds in your life right now, preparing the soil for your breakthrough. Loneliness is a divine classroom. Some of you feel isolated, you feel alone, you feel like no one understands the battles you are fighting, the pain you are carrying, the pressure you are under. Maybe your friends don't get it. Maybe your family doesn't get it. Maybe even those closest to you have left disappointed or betrayed you. And in the quiet moments when it's just you and your thoughts, the weight of loneliness presses down like a heavy stone. But hear this truth. Loneliness is a divine classroom. Yes, a classroom. God often places his greatest leaders, his most faithful servants in seasons of solitude. It is in those quiet, lonely moments that he teaches lessons the world cannot teach. It is in the isolation that he strengthens your spirit, sharpens your character, and deepens your reliance on him. Psalm 25:16 says, "Turn thee unto me and have mercy upon me, for I am desolate and afflicted." God meets you in the desolate places. He instructs you in the affliction. He prepares you in the loneliness. Think about Elijah. After a mighty victory over the prophets of Baal, he fled into the wilderness, exhausted, afraid, and alone. He thought he had failed. He thought God had abandoned him. And yet in that solitude, God fed him, strengthened him, and spoke to him in the stillness. That lonely wilderness was not a punishment. It was a classroom where God taught Elijah resilience, obedience, and dependence. Your lonely season is the same. Some of you fear loneliness because it feels empty, because it feels pointless, because it feels like rejection. But God uses these moments to teach you lessons you cannot learn in the company of others. He teaches patience when no one else is watching. He teaches trust when you have no immediate comfort. He teaches faith when your circumstances seem hopeless. Isaiah 41:10 reminds us, "Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness." In your loneliness, God is your teacher, your guide, your strength, your companion. And I know it hurts. I know it feels unbearable. I know some of you have cried tears that no one has seen, prayed prayers that seemed unanswered, and begged for relief that never came. Loneliness feels like a punishment. It feels like rejection. It feels like failure. But God sees it as preparation. He sees it as positioning. He sees it as a classroom where he can develop endurance, faith, humility, and spiritual intimacy that you cannot get anywhere else. Think about Jesus. Before his ministry began, he spent 40 days in the wilderness alone, fasting, praying, tested, and tempted. He was isolated. Yet that period of solitude prepared him for the mission he was about to undertake. That same God is using your lonely moments to prepare you for your purpose, to strengthen you for your assignment, to mold you into the person he has called you to be. Some of you are desperate for company, desperate for validation, desperate for understanding. But God is teaching you to rely not on human comfort, not on worldly approval, not on temporary relationships, but on him. Loneliness is a divine classroom because it forces you to see that God is enough. He is sufficient. He is faithful. He is constant. And when you learn this lesson, you will step into your upgrade with power, independence, and clarity, ready to fulfill the purpose he has designed for your life. Loneliness teaches you humility. It teaches you obedience. It teaches you resilience. It teaches you trust. It teaches you to lean on God when the world walks away. And here is the truth. The lessons you learn in your solitary seasons are the same lessons that will allow you to steward your breakthrough, to receive your promotion, and to operate in the life God has been preparing for you. Those lonely nights, those silent struggles, those moments when it feels like no one cares, they are building the foundation of your future. Some of you are tempted to fill the loneliness with distractions, people, substances, busyness, noise. But those things cannot teach what God wants to teach. He wants your attention. He wants your heart. He wants your focus. He wants to show you that he is enough. He wants to show you that when you walk with him alone, you are never really alone. And when you embrace this, when you understand the classroom in which you are sitting, your life will be positioned for the upgrade that will leave your enemies astonished, your friends amazed, and your soul fulfilled. Obedience opens the doors God has prepared. Some of you are frustrated because you feel like God is not moving on your behalf. You've prayed, you've fasted, you've sought guidance, you've tried to align your life with His will, yet you remain stuck. The doors of opportunity seem closed. The promotions you long for seem denied. The blessings you've prayed for seem delayed. And the enemy whispers, God has forgotten you. He doesn't see you. You are on your own. But I'm here to tell you something that will change your perspective forever. Obedience opens the doors God has prepared. Obedience is the bridge between where you are and where God has promised to take you. Isaiah 1:19 says, if you be willing and obedient, ye shall eat the good of the land. The moment you align your actions with God's word, the heavens open doors that the enemy cannot shut. It is not enough to know the promises of God. It is not enough to pray, hope, or even dream. God honors action. God honors faith in motion. God honors a heart willing to submit to His authority, to walk in His ways, to follow even when it hurts. Think about Noah. God gave him instructions to build an ark, a massive, ridiculous vessel in the middle of dry land long before a single drop of rain fell. The world mocked him. People laughed. His obedience seemed foolish. Yet the moment he acted, the ark became the door to life, salvation, and legacy. If Noah had hesitated, if he had ignored God's instructions, if he had delayed in fear or doubt, the flood would have consumed him, and the world would have lost the vessel. God intended to preserve humanity. Obedience opened the door. Some of you are resisting because obedience is painful. Obedience requires sacrifice. Obedience requires humility. Obedience requires doing what the world thinks is foolish, unreasonable, or impossible. But here is the truth. God's doors are not opened by cleverness, by connections, by education, or by timing. They are opened by obedience. You may not understand the steps God asked you to take. You may not see the immediate benefit. You may not feel ready. But when you act in obedience, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's inconvenient, even when it doesn't make sense, God opens doors that were previously invisible. Consider Abraham. God told him to leave his home, his family, and everything familiar to go to a land he had never seen. Every instinct screamed against it. Every human logic said it was impossible. Yet Abraham obeyed, and obedience became the gateway to God's promise, the legacy of nations and the inheritance of blessings beyond measure. Hebrews 11:10 says, by faith Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed. And he went out not knowing whither he went. Your obedience is the key to unlocking the life God has already prepared for you. I know some of you struggle with fear and doubt. You hesitate because you're afraid of failure, afraid of ridicule, afraid of loss. You worry about what people will say, what might go wrong, or whether you're qualified. But fear cannot open God's doors. Only obedience can. Faith without action is faith without power. Prayer without obedience is prayer without harvest. And the God who has positioned you for greatness is waiting for your obedience to unlock it. Your obedience is also a reflection of your trust. The more you obey, even when you don't understand, the more you demonstrate that your faith is real. James 2:17 tells us, even so faith, if it hath not works, is dead being alone. God honors the obedience that comes from faith, not perfection. He honors the steps you take, even if they are small, when your heart is aligned with His. And the doors that open because of obedience are doors you cannot create on your own. Doors that elevate you, bless you, and position you for your upgrade. Some of you are waiting for a miracle without taking the step of obedience. You expect God to act without your participation. But the truth is, obedience is the seed you plant to harvest the blessing God has prepared. You cannot sit in passivity and expect promotion. You cannot remain stagnant and expect transformation. Every step you take in obedience, every act of faith in motion, every alignment with God's word positions you for the life upgrade He has promised. Obedience opens doors that no human can close, that no circumstance can block, that no enemy can deny. God has already prepared these doors, but they require your movement, your surrender. Step into obedience even when it's painful, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it feels risky. Your obedience will unlock doors that lead to your destiny, your blessing, and your purpose. Your scars are proof of God's power. Some of you look at your past and only see pain, shame, and failure. You see scars, disappointments, regrets, and losses. And every time you look in the mirror or think about your journey, the enemy whispers, "You are too broken. You are too damaged. You are too late. You are not enough." But I am here to tell you a truth that will shake your soul. Your scars are proof of God's power. Every wound you carry, every heartbreak you survived, every betrayal you endured, every loss you faced, these are not marks of weakness. They are evidence that God preserved you. They are evidence that you endured when others fell. They are evidence that His hand has been on your life, keeping you alive, keeping you faithful, keeping you ready for your upgrade. 2 Corinthians 4:17 says, "For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory." Your scars testify that God's glory is waiting to manifest in your life. Think about Paul. Before he became one of the greatest apostles, he was beaten, shipwrecked, imprisoned, stoned, and persecuted relentlessly. His body bore scars from his devotion, from his faith, from his obedience. Yet every scar, every wound, every hardship became a testament to God's power at work. Every scar proved that God was faithful. And every scar positioned him for the supernatural influence he would have across nations. Your scars have the same purpose. Some of you are ashamed of your past. You hide your scars, your failures, your mistakes. You pretend that life has been easy for you, that nothing ever broke you, that everything you've done was perfect. But your scars are not shameful. They are sacred. They are evidence that you survived, that you endured, that you were preserved, and that God has a plan to use your story to impact the lives of others. Psalm 34:9 tells us, "Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivereth him out of them all." Your scars also serve as a reminder of God's faithfulness. Every scar is a chapter in your story of survival. Every scar is proof that what the enemy intended for evil, God intended for good. Every scar is a lesson in perseverance, endurance, humility, and faith. And the God who preserved you through every trial is the same God who is about to promote you, elevate you, and bless you beyond measure. Think about David again. He bore scars from battles, betrayals, and failures, yet those scars reminded him of God's power to protect, guide, and sustain him. They testified that he had endured, that he had grown, and that he was being prepared for greater responsibility. Your scars work the same way. They are not reminders of defeat. They are proof of preparation, proof of endurance, and proof of God's ongoing work in your life. Some of you are tempted to hide your scars because of pride, shame, or fear of judgment. But your scars are not just for you. They are for others. They are testimony. They are encouragement. They are evidence that God can take any life, any situation, any brokenness, and turn it into a platform of power. Revelation 12:11 reminds us, "They overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony." Your scars are the proof that you can overcome. Your scars are the evidence that God is with you. Your scars are the foundation for your upgrade. God's upgrades are bigger than your imagination. Some of you have been dreaming small. Some of you have been hoping for little, thinking that if you can just survive, get by, or reach a minor milestone, you will be satisfied. Some of you have limited God by your imagination, by your fear, by your pain, by your disappointments, by your past. And the truth that will shake you to your core today is this: God's upgrades are bigger than your imagination. You cannot fully comprehend what God has prepared for you. Your mind, shaped by limitations, failure, and setbacks, cannot even begin to picture the abundance, influence, favor, and blessing that He has been crafting behind the scenes. Ephesians 3:20 reminds us, "Know unto Him that is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us." He is not giving you just enough to get by. He is not giving you just enough to survive. He is about to overwhelm you with a life that surpasses every expectation you have ever dared to dream. I know it is hard to believe. I know you've been disappointed too many times. I know the pain of unfulfilled promises weighs heavily on your heart. You have been let down by people, by opportunities, by circumstances, and sometimes by yourself. But God has never been late. God has never forgotten. God has never abandoned you. He sees the bigger picture, the eternal picture, the picture that your imagination cannot capture, and His upgrades are designed to blow your mind, expand your influence, and redefine your legacy. Consider Joseph. Imagine the life he envisioned while he was in the pit, sold into slavery by his own brothers? Did he ever imagine sitting before Pharaoh, interpreting dreams, and becoming the second most powerful man in Egypt? Did he imagine feeding nations during a famine, reconciling with the very people who betrayed him, and becoming a living testimony of God's faithfulness? God's upgrade was bigger than anything Joseph could imagine, and your life is no different. The setbacks, the betrayals, the pain you've endured are not the end. They are the soil for a miraculous promotion that exceeds human understanding. Some of you are trying to measure your blessings by your current circumstances, by the size of your bank account, by your social status, or by what you can see. That is a limited way to think. God is not limited by what you see, by what you think is possible, or by the mistakes of your past. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end." Your upgrade is part of God's plan. It is already in motion. It is already designed. And it is far bigger than anything you are imagining. I know fear is trying to tell you that it is too late, that you are too far gone, that your life is too broken. But faith sees beyond fear. Faith envisions beyond limitations. Faith trusts in the supernatural power of God to bring things into existence that your mind cannot yet perceive. The upgrade that is coming is not ordinary. It is not small. It is not incremental. It is transformative, life-altering, destiny-fulfilling, and soul-satisfying. Some of you have been measuring your life against the world, comparing yourself to others, and wondering why your breakthrough hasn't arrived yet. But God's upgrades are not based on timelines, comparison, or human logic. They are based on His divine wisdom, perfect timing, and infinite power. What He is preparing for you is beyond your imagination, because His plans are bigger than anything the world can offer. Bigger than anything you have endured, bigger than anything you have ever hoped for. Your upgrade will stretch your faith. It will challenge your patience. It will require obedience. It will demand trust. And it will be so far beyond your imagination that you will be forced to acknowledge that only God could do it. You cannot manufacture this life. You cannot work hard enough, save enough, or strive enough to create what God has been preparing. It is a divine upgrade, and it is waiting for you to receive it. With faith, humility, and obedience, your breakthrough is inevitable when you trust God. Some of you are tired of waiting. You've been patient, hopeful, and faithful. Yet your breakthrough seems delayed. You've prayed, sacrificed, and persevered. Yet doors remain closed, relationships remain strained, and opportunities seem elusive. And the enemy is whispering in your ear, "It will never happen. You've tried too much, waited too long, and failed too often." But I am here to declare a reality that cannot be shaken. Your breakthrough is inevitable when you trust God. Breakthrough does not depend on luck, on timing, or on chance. Breakthrough depends on God. And when you place your trust fully in Him, when you align your life with His Word, when you act in obedience, when you refuse to give up despite the pain, the breakthrough that is destined for you cannot be stopped. Psalm 37:5 says, "Commit thy way unto the Lord. Trust also in Him, and He shall bring it to pass." God is faithful. He is powerful. He is able, and your breakthrough is written in heaven. It is only a matter of time before it manifests in your life. Think about David again. Before he became king, he faced rejection, persecution, and betrayal. He had enemies plotting against him, allies abandoning him, and circumstances that seemed hopeless. Yet he trusted God. He did not rely on his own understanding or strength. He did not attempt shortcuts or compromise. He trusted God. And every step of the way, God was orchestrating his rise. His breakthrough was inevitable because his trust was unwavering. Your breakthrough is no different. It does not matter how long it takes. It does not matter how impossible it seems. It does not matter how deep your pain is. Trust in God makes your breakthrough unavoidable. Trust aligns your faith with His power. Trust ensures that when the time comes, the doors open, the chains break, the provision flows, the relationships are restored, and the blessings manifest. Isaiah 40:31 reminds us, "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint." Your breakthrough is coming. It is inevitable. It cannot be stopped. I know waiting is hard. I know patience is difficult. I know some of you have cried yourself to sleep, prayed until your throat hurt, and wondered if God even hears. But your trust is the key. It is the anchor. It is the assurance that your breakthrough is written, prepared, and positioned. Every setback, every trial, every pain you have endured has been setting the stage for the moment when God moves on your behalf. Consider Joseph one last time. Years in a pit, slavery, prison, and betrayal could not stop his breakthrough. Every step was orchestrated by God, and because Joseph trusted, his breakthrough was inevitable. The same principle applies to you. No matter how hopeless your situation seems, no matter how impossible the odds, no matter how deep your pain, your breakthrough is certain when you trust God. Some of you are tempted to take matters into your own hands, to force the outcome, to compromise, to give up on the process. But that will only delay the inevitable. Trust requires patience. Trust requires faith. Trust requires obedience. And when you remain steadfast, when you hold fast to God's promises, when you refuse to let fear or doubt control you, your breakthrough will arrive. It is inevitable. God's timing is perfect. His plan is flawless. His power is unlimited. Trust God with your life. Trust God with your pain. Trust God with your provision. Trust God with your family. Trust God with your destiny. Trust God with your future. Your breakthrough is not conditional on luck, talent, or human effort. It is conditional on trust, faith, and alignment with God's plan. And when you trust, when you obey, when you believe, the breakthrough that has been delayed, the breakthrough that has been denied, the breakthrough that has been stolen by circumstances or fear, it becomes inevitable, unstoppable, and undeniable. Your breakthrough is inevitable because God is faithful. Your breakthrough is inevitable because God is powerful. Your breakthrough is inevitable because God's timing is perfect. Your breakthrough is inevitable because He sees the end from the beginning and has already prepared every step for your victory. Today we've talked about something every one of us faces: pain, setbacks, fear, loneliness, and the struggles that make us doubt ourselves. We started by understanding that pain is not punishment, it is preparation. Your tears, your heartbreaks, your failures, they are not the end of your story. They are the beginning of God's plan to upgrade your life. We saw how delays are divine positioning, how God specializes in broken things, and how faith can outweigh fear. Every obstacle you face is a seed, every lonely season is a classroom, and every scar is proof of God's power. We explored the importance of obedience and trust. Doors in life do not open because we hope or wish. They open because we align ourselves with God's word and act in faith. Your obedience today is the key to your breakthrough tomorrow. Your scars, your failures, your past, they are not marks of shame. They are testaments of His preservation. Proof that God is shaping you into someone who is ready to step into the life He has promised. We talked about how God's upgrades are bigger than your imagination. Stop limiting God by what you can see, by what you have experienced, or by what you think is possible. He is preparing a life that exceeds your wildest dreams. And we close by reminding ourselves that your breakthrough is inevitable when you trust Him fully. Nothing can stop it. Neither fear, nor delay, nor failure, nor opposition. God's timing is perfect. His plan is unstoppable. So take a moment today. Commit your way to Him and trust that your pain has not been in vain. Your setbacks are setups. Your loneliness is a classroom. Your scars are your testimony. And your obedience is the key to doors God has already prepared. The upgrade is here. It is coming. It is unstoppable. It is inevitable. And remember, for more messages like this, keep watching Myron Golden Track. Your breakthrough is coming, your upgrade is near, and your testimony is waiting. Don't let this message end without acting in faith, believing in God's promises, and stepping into the new life He has prepared for you.